Lefty podcast. Honora Boys in the building. Brought to you by Honora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It's that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you drink, by all means, make sure that you do so.
Responsibly.
You definitely have to do it responsibly. We are found on CFB Nation, presented by
Twist.
Twisted Tea. Yes, sir. Man, we hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday, National Signing Day. You know why we're here. You know why we're here. We're here to talk National Signing Day. So if you have a get to the bag question, make sure you hit the type in GTB. We'll get to it in the second half of the show. Uh, 2024 class is signed, sealed, and delivered. Left at, I think, 10:22 a.m. Eastern Time. The entire class was signed. That's That's including the West Coast kids. That's absolutely incredible.
That's right.
So, you already know, Left. What's smoking? What's smoking brought to you by Fashion Geek, AlonzoJackson.com, Fashion Geek. We run the city. So, once again, 2024 recruiting class for the Fighting Irish in Notre Dame is signed, sealed, and delivered. Now, delivery, if you want to say, well, we got to get them on campus. I believe 16 of those young gentlemen will be coming in January as early enrollees, and the rest will be showing up in the summer around June-ish. So the class, in comparison to 2023, not as much glitz, glamour, but when you just look at flat out across the board evaluation, there are probably more guys that have a better shot of being day ones or playing as freshmen than the 2023 class. And that is impressive. And you stack that with the 10 commits already, double digits already in the 2025 class, led by Deuce Knight. The one thing that stands out, Left, it pays when you have a quarterback committed as long as Notre Dame had CJ Carr committed to the program. That's a positive effect on a recruiting class.
Yeah, definitely a nice centerpiece. If that was a Thanksgiving table or Christmas feast, it would be the ham of
Mm.
the Christmas feast. And I think it serves well, brings people together. I think it's a nice addition. Nobody can subtract that from your meal and say they had a good meal. So, um, good opportunity to get a guy like CJ in there, rallied some guys, and held on to some receivers that I'm excited to see in this class that committed. And, you really want to see the revolution or evolution of what this offense looks on a recruited dime under Marcus Freeman. And I think we'll be able to see some flashes of that. Like you said, this isn't a star-studded class like I believe 25 is going to be, but you'll find some gems, a lot similar to a Kyle Hamilton type of class that bona fide guys that might be some day ones that can make an impact early.
You know what? I use hidden gems on the recruiting show earlier in the day, and I couldn't agree with you more, man. Notre Dame has really found some hidden gems that I think is going to establish themselves early on. Running back position has a chance to play early. I know one of your favorite players, which is probably one of the most underrated players in the class, and we'll get to him in a minute. CJ Carr impressing in practices already for the bowl prep, even though he's not going to play in the game. Then you have a guy like Gerby Lambert, who's not even coming in early. This dude is like, what, 6'7", 315? You already got Charles Jagasaw slated at left tackle for the bowl game and going into next spring, 6'7", 330. Like, yo, the future of the Notre Dame offensive line, which has always been technically sound and really good. But now this offensive line is starting to look like an SEC offensive line. The linebackers, Bodie Cahoon and KVA, who, by the way, gave one of the most impassioned speeches you've ever seen on a National Signing Day. If you haven't seen it, go to the young man's Twitter feed. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. Flat out, great speech by that young man on who he is, how great his family has been for him to set the tone for who he is as a young man, and then what Notre Dame means to him. It's a fantastic speech. And then think about it. 15 of the best linebackers were up for the Buckets Award across the nation left. Notre Dame got two of them in the class. Two of the top 15 linebackers. That's a pretty good haul. You're used to Notre Dame getting a Manti, getting a Jalen, getting one great one. In this class, Notre Dame, they got two great ones. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's. I think that's something that you really want to look at as Marcus Freeman's signature that he adds to every program that he goes to. He's going to have those top tier linebackers because he was a top tier linebacker and knows what it looks like, so he knows what it should look like recruited.
The evaluation, and we talked to Bodie Cahoon's coach, and he said that the one thing that stood out in the recruitment of Bodie Cahoon is when Al Golden came to the school. Al Golden is from that area, the Virginia area, and he said the relatability between Al Golden and also Bodie Cahoon stood out to him. And he said Al Golden didn't mince words. He was like, dude, we've been doing this back and forth text, smoothing. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And he said that stood out to Bodie Cahoon. It wasn't too long after that Bodie took his official visit and was Irish from that point on. Man, those are the wonderful stories you love to hear from his defensive coordinator, Pete Johnson.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that's once you get that relationship established, it's just about making that decision, man. You want to join, you know, this particular way we got going on, and if you don't, we're direct enough to ask you up front because you're at the top of our board, but we got other top guys as well.
You know what, Left? I think that's the one thing that this staff learned moving forward is not to get stuck on guys that are, kind of in between you have to worry about. I think you saw them move on from some guys.
Yeah, and the transfer portal is just too hot and too available to really spend time doing too much fighting now. We gonna put up a good one, but in terms of just doing the back and forth, Peyton Bowen, that kind of thing, I don't think we'll make those kind of mistakes anymore.
Like I said, no drama on this National Signing Day. A class of 23 into addition. Officially signed are the six new Fighting Irish via the transfer portal. And that's a total class of 29 with portal and high school recruits. A large percentage of those high school recruits reporting early. And he's know something left. I want to know what was the one thing in your recruiting that you were looking forward to? Like, you sit in quiet time, you're done with the process, and you're thinking like, yo, I can't wait until I do this. What was it for you?
Or on like being a recruit.
No, now you're in the class. You're officially Notre Dame. And it's like in your quiet time as you wait to get there, it's like, I can't wait. This is the moment that I can't wait to experience.
Oh man, it's just the getting in and just seeing what it's like on an everyday type of
Left,
process.
please explain that because as a fan, like I asked several guys that today, and every last one of them, which I thought was astounding, dude, where all of them were like, I can't wait for the first lift. And I was like, I'm thinking it's gonna be like the first time I put on the helmet and walk down the stairs, the blue and gold game, or the first time I hit the sign going into the tunnel. I'm thinking it's going to be that. And like it lines up with what you just said. Pretty much all the guys are like, man, I'm looking forward to that first lift because they say it's a different world. It's like something you just have to experience.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like, man, you coming as the best player from wherever you're from. You go to all these camps and you measure yourself out, and then you have shaken out to be one of the top players amongst your class. Now you restarting going in a new environment where everybody's big, they got a head start on you. What's the strength look like? Where do I lay in that? And kind of get a feel for the team in that first lift and just get that competitive environment. Who's fast, who's slow, who give effort, who don't. It's a great measuring stick. The funniest thing of every incoming freshman class is that first warm up of the first lift.
Oh, what's
The
that like? Well, what's the warm up like?
Man, okay, it is so funny because everybody wonders how does the college football experience start? Like what's day one college football level? And they're right, it is the lift, but it's kind of funny like how it happened for us. You kind of just know your time to show up is kind of early. Everybody getting in, meeting up in the locker room. Nobody know what to expect. You've been through so many meetings leading up to getting to this point from just getting
Right.
there, the dorm, all the shenanigans before that. So when you get to the first lift, you're like, all right, I'm a college student about to lift some weights. Like
Mhm.
this ain't NCAA, this is on the game, this is real life. And so everybody just kind of hangs out like floating fish. They kind of talking, whatever. We all we hype because we get our first team gear.
Mhm.
So everybody got the uniform on. So you get your shoes. We all matching. We learn how the team loops work. You get in there, and then the strength coach, ours, was longer, so he came in there with the energy. All right, we about to round up, whoop whoop. We about to do this, tighten up. Everything you could imagine from a first kind of like, you better get your mind right type of deal. You go into the weight room, and with us, in most places, because Florida was kind of the same. Go in there, all right, you got your groups. This is what we got. We're gonna hit the warm up first, and they'd be like, all right, just line up. Everybody line up. So this is where, as a first year guy in your class,
Mhm.
kind of seeing what everybody looking like. And the warm up is usually like a 40-yard dynamic warm up. So we doing skips and high knees and shorts, stretching, stretching.
Mhm.
But this is like the NFL combine stretch. It's dead quiet.
Mm.
Everybody nervous. These stretches are the most professional, high knees. Guys is showing how fast they can do it. It's kind of funny because it's like everybody's trying 100%, and then you realize that when you a junior and you looking at the incoming class and everybody's just fast as hell. I'm like, y'all gonna be tired before the lift now, because the warm up like a good 15, 20 minutes. So you doing all type of dynamic stretches, kicks,
Right.
and you're gonna be tired. You see what I'm saying? So this is like the funny part is that all the freshmen usually get tired after the first 15 minutes because they're going hard,
Right.
not knowing that now you in college is about warming yourself. And because in high school you're not doing 15, 20 minutes of direct stretching. You sit in a circle, getting a couple lines, jog it out. In college, because you aware of everybody in the class and you hear stories of everybody, you trying to see how they look. Everybody's hitting that high knee super perfect and super serious, and then the lift comes and you split into your groups, and that's when it gets more normal because now you lifting, doing your power lifts, and then you start seeing guys who ain't never lifted before,
Right.
guys that done had trainers since they was 3, guys that just don't know how strong they are. So you be like, dang, you throwing it around, you know what I'm saying? It's a super football social kind of thing. It's like how you do the freshman meet and greet.
Right.
All the incoming freshmen do the little meet and greet. This is the meet and greet on the football level with your classmates.
So
Go
that's
through the lift
crazy.
and then and you go through it. Then you get to after the lift. You're not used to it, but you got all the nutrition stuff. So they hitting you with shakes and weight programs and drink your water and eat right after 30 minutes. And now you on a schedule to get to class. And
Mhm.
So you in it. That's your day, and then it's just day after day, kind of the same thing until you start your special days where you do mat drills like at 2 in the morning, crazy stuff like that.
Right.
But those are at periods of time. But yeah,
Yo,
man,
so
it's super
it's left.
exciting.
When I tell you, I was astounded that these young men were like, yo, bro, I swear, I was like, yo, it has to be getting on the field, putting the uniform on for the first time, something special like that, or just walking around campus for the first time,
No,
going
the
to my first
weightlifting
class.
uniform. That's the yeah.
That's it,
It's
right?
on the team because
Right.
everybody got the weight uniform. You know how that's how you know you part of the team. Everybody got the Notre
Oh,
Dame
okay.
basic weightlifting shirt, and everybody seniors to baby freshmen. So that's the uniform you excited to wear first.
Right.
We had weightlifting shoes. I didn't even know nothing about that at the time. Had some of them. So you really, and then it's just one of those things where it's a new routine and it's super exciting, and then you realize how tired you are, and you got a whole class schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember after my first lift, I had to walk all the way across campus for my first class. I said, "How do guys do this?" It's not even 8 o'clock yet. I'm tired already. So you get used to it.
That's crazy. Lucky Lefty podcast, National Signing Day, talking about the fact that all of the recruits that are coming in early, they're all super excited for that first lift. That's like the thing they're looking forward to. And Malik giving us a little peek behind the scenes of what it's like. I guess as a freshman, you do come into that first lift trying to impress the upperclassmen,
Oh
trying
yeah,
to show that you belong. So
his
it
guys is
actually,
in there, doing a little thing, they own routine. And in the training room before the lift, guys go in there and think they need all types of tape jobs and stretches from the trainers because the training room look nice, and jumping in hot and cold tubs like they know what they doing. And guys be funny, man. You be like, man, just lift this weight, dude. Go to class.
all right, Lucky Lefty podcast. Don't forget, tomorrow, special show, 11 o'clock, Cam McDaniel, who's been doing research all week. Notre Dame has named their strength and conditioning coach, Lauren Landau. And Cam McDaniel has been doing research on Lauren Landau. And he's going to break down for Lucky Lefty podcast exactly what Lauren Landau believes in, how he trains the athletes he works with, and how it's going to impact the Notre Dame football program. Cam McDaniel is super excited about what he brings to the table. New strength and conditioning coach Lauren Landau, broken down by Notre Dame's own Cam McDaniel tomorrow, 11 o'clock, Lucky Lefty podcast. You don't want to miss it. All right. Left, it's time for your top 5 most impactful players of the 2024 recruiting class. Left, go ahead and take it away with number 1. We're going to go and break down film of your top 5. Number 1.
Number one, I got my guy, obviously, CJ Carr out of Michigan, 4-star quarterback, very consistent player, a very maybe not a superstar as an individual talent, but
Mm-hmm.
he could work his way, having the intangibles to rally the team to where they can elevate him as a potential 3-2-star type of quarterback in college football, knowing that he's going to be able to get guys that want to play for him. He's a team type of guy, has all in my opinion, has reached his ceiling in terms of knowing how accurate he can be, which is, I think, more of his gift he's honed in on. But he's going to do all the right things technical. He's going to work hard. A very good piece to a class that is really surrounding him. We may not know much on a star impact this class may hold, but CJ Carr is a guy that can bring the best out of the guys in his class, especially the receivers.
And you talk about that. Last year for you with Kenny Minchie, it was the fact that he had arm talent, but it was the way that he knew how to throw what type of ball and what type of situation on all 3 levels whether you're zipping it in there or you're feathering it in there or putting a little loft to it, which is something you said is a gift. Kids just don't know that and know how to do that in high school. With CJ, you're saying, look, he is a high percentage efficient quarterback when it comes to completion percentage already. You add that to the fact that his intangible is that he's going to make guys better. This is what Notre Dame is getting with CJ Carr as a quarterback on top of the arm talent in the 2024 recruiting class. You stack both of those kids left, that quarterback room is starting to look really impressive for the Fighting Irish. And if I'm Marcus Freeman, yo, this definitely might be the last year I even think about going to the transfer portal. Notre Dame fans should be super excited about CJ Carr being stacked on top of Kenny Minchey in that quarterback room.
Yeah, and I think from a talent standpoint, I think CJ has a lot of good benefit, uh, but he may not be the standalone talent of like a Patrick Mahomes level. He's more of a Matt Ryan that can move a little bit better type of guy. Like Matt Ryan isn't going to get better from year 5 to year 10. He's just going to be who he is, and that's pretty good, and he's going to have peaks and valleys, but he's not going to wow you. He's always going to stay right in the middle of the pack on the better side of things usually, but never the greatest. And I do think that that's going to be able to give him the ability to gel well with other good talented players around him. Where you input a guy like Cam Williams, where you input a guy like Micah Gilbert, those guys who are supremely talented individually, where you can have a season like a Justin Jefferson and a Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins may not be the number one quarterback in the country, but Kirk Cousins can give you a 2,000 yard potential receiver and make a number one receiver look really good. And so that would be my impact of what CJ Carr can have, a consistent uh, thing that you can depend on. Yeah, he may not be the biggest spotlight type of quarterback, but he can pull off some great games and make some players highlighted and players better around him.
And it's amazing, Left, because you really loved how he went out to the Elite 11. A lot of people at the Elite 11 really didn't have high expectations for him. They really wanted to see how he would stack up against some of those high end quarterbacks that were getting a lot of love, the Dylan Rayolas, and types like that. And CJ went out there and was very impressive and really outdid himself and showed himself well and kind of put Notre Dame on the map from a quarterback standpoint with his week full of performance at the Elite 11 this summer.
Yeah, and what the most impressive thing was is the fact that he was most consistent, which kept him in the conversation all week, which
Yeah.
is what we can depend on. He's going to come in there, and the curve for him is not going to be as great as it is for other talented guys coming in at a young age.
Let's go to your number two impact player on your list for the 2024 recruiting class. Left, who you have?
I didn't. I think it was fluid on mine. I don't remember who I had in
You had
specific
Cam
order,
Williams at number two.
but Yam Williams, another. I think the most talented of as a standalone individual player in the class. I think he's going to impact as a day one guy.
Mhm.
He looks the part, so you pass the eye test, which is huge for a guy that is a good evaluator of talent. Is the eye test. He's got all the things that you want to see from a suddenness standpoint, like Jeremiah Smith, the number one receiver in the class. I think very sudden, like him, strong. Yards after catch, looks like he understands football well, and a day one impact for sure. Potential number one receiver in 2 years.
So, with everything that's happening in the portal, how often do you want to get him on the field? Like, if he comes in and shows that he's a dude, are you pushing the envelope and getting him out there early? Or do you want to allow him to like develop and then, kind of get into the swing of things somewhere during the middle of the season?
I know clear number one, a new environment with a new receiver coach. Definitely put him in a position where he can be a two or a three if you want to see him be a potential 1 in 2 years. And I think we need to have an alpha dog like that if that's the ability that he has.
Mm.
And we should be okay with him being a number 1 in 2 years. Michael Floyd was his coming out and had 3 great years after his freshman year. So, it's one of those things where identify an X factor type of player, and this, in my opinion, is one, and he can change the game.
Yo, he's definitely a game changer. Once again, number 2 on Malik's list, wide receiver Cam Williams coming to South Bend in a couple of weeks left. That's crazy. Like these kids will be on campus literally in a couple of weeks. Have to be excited about the level of talent just with the top 2 guys. And this is the thing, left. This duo of Cam Williams and CJ Carr goes all the way back to the Irish invasion, their junior year, or right before their junior year, where they pretty much solidified their relationship and really locked in to being part of the 2024 class for the Fighting Irish. So these junior days are vitally important, man. Vitally important. Man, the
Yeah,
speed
Notre
on this
Dame is
kid.
known for having a quarterback receiver tandem just through the history of things when
Mhm.
memorable tandems. And I think the CJ Carr has a good memory of a good college football history through his own legacy. So he knows he needs a, a, a peanut butter to his jelly out there, and he's grabbed and latched on to Cam early, and we'll see that relationship flourish when they ever get on the field together.
So once again, impactful players for Malik. I want to specify this is not a power ranking. This is not Malik saying these guys are better than the rest of the 2024 class. This is literally the 5 guys that Malik is looking forward to seeing. These are his guys. Number 1, CJ Carr. Number 2, hey man, Cam Williams. You got to love that kid. Number 3 for you left was none other than Hannibal, Missouri's own Aeneas Williams Jr. Talk about him, left.
What I think we like about Aeneas is that he's that versatile back that he's big enough to give you a lot of production from different spots, which causes mismatches. He, in my opinion, as athletic as Aldrich was, I think he's more of a in between Aldrich and a Kyron from a size, but also versatility standpoint. And you just gotta love the way he is a guy that just says, "Give me the football." He's a football type of player, and you can see that he has the intangibles of the lasting speed, the breakaway speed, but also the toughness
Mm-hmm.
that you can do a lot of different things with. That I think this is a guy that you can start working into the rotation early just because he's played a lot of football, been at a level where he has to know how to play a role in different spots, and he's not afraid of the moment. They were doing all type of handoffs and things with him to uh, get him the football. And I think from an offensive play caller standpoint, he's a guy that is highlighted on your play sheet as here are my go-to plays for him, that he can do stuff like this that you're watching right now and make me look good as a coordinator when in doubt, right? So when you talk about screen poppers, guys that can be the X factor for your team, instead of a Jordan Faison, think of a guy like Aeneas Williams.
Left, I like this kid because, like he said, he is Mr. All Purpose. And you need a kid like this, right? Because you don't have to put him in the backfield, left. You can put him in a slot. Look at this. Go get the ball. He can go up and high point the ball. This man had like 152 touchdowns, like Lito Galante says. 152 left in his high school career. 152 touchdowns. That's
He's really
insane, left.
like a switchblade, but also you just gotta love the way that he's a football player first.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't run like a specific skill position, which is makes it so fun to put him on your team, because if you're going game plan week to week, he can be a running back one week. He can be a fly jet sweep guy. He can line up in the slot. You can hand it to him directly. You can do so many different things to cause problems for the defense, but also week to week an easy fit, knowing that he can just do this on basic plays when you're giving guys breathers early on as a rookie, but also using him in impactful moments when you talk about running the ball efficiently. This is a guy on the second down, handing the football on a meaningless 2nd and 7, and you're most people getting three. He may break out and run something like this and give you a spark if you're down in the game.
Does he remind you of Kyron Williams, dude? Just being to do everything and like the success. You see Kyron Williams, another St. Louis product that's having this type of success on the
St.
NFL
Louis
level.
running backs like Ezekiel Elliott, Kyron Williams, and
Good
Aeneas
call.
Williams,
That's a great call, Left.
they got that style where they just are so versatile, but the size they have
Hmm.
makes it so different. It's not just a skinny, small guy. This is a guy that carries some weight, but knows and has the feet of a receiver, has the feet of a running back, the size of running back, but also can give you mismatches and just have fun in space. And you talk about what needs to be dynamic about Notre Dame's offense, and that's guys in space. That's the Chris Mitchell, the Aeneas Williams, the Jeremiah Loves, guys that aren't just going to catch and go down.
That's number three on leaks. Impactful 2024 recruits, Hannibal, Missouri. The one, the only, Aeneas Williams. Now, Left, I was shocked. I'm going to keep it a buck. I was shocked to see this kid show up on your top five list. And the reason I was shocked, Left, is because I remember when he first hopped on and got an offer, you kind of were like, you were kind of like, all right, okay, cool. But you really warmed up to this young man, and that is Ohio's own Carson Hobbs, the young defensive back that'll be showing up early in a couple of weeks for the Fighting Irish. What drew you to Carson Hobbs to say, yo, I can't wait to see this kid play?
The Ohio connection, man. Mike Mickens ain't gonna do him wrong or steer him in a wrong direction, and he's got this size that you want to see that you can't coach, and then to see the track record of how we developed guys so far in that secondary. Carson Hobbs is just fitting the mold of what I think of Ben Morrison came in with the hype and the type of measurables that I think that they can both have a similar type of impact.
Man, you talk about this kid, like you said, he is long. He can play boundary, he can play field. His speed in his senior season definitely, definitely got better. And he plays with a swag, an absolute swag that you have to love. Pick six, fumble return during the high school playoffs. Came up a little short of winning a state championship, but man, you have to love. And he loves to play aggressive. You talk to him Left, and he's like, man, I can play bump and run every play. Now
Yeah,
he's not
and
going to
that's
do
and
that.
that's and he's playing one of the greatest high school leagues ever, the GCL South.
Hmm.
Really good high school football conference. It's all the all boys type of schools, and a lot of legacy in that league, but a lot of toughness. So I know he's built the right way. Usually those type of guys go to those Michigans or Ohio States because of the type of playing style. But I think Marcus Freeman is bringing that swag right on to Notre Dame.
So Carson Hobbs, look, let me tell you something. I know why Left likes him, right? Ohio connection, number one. Mouth, the mouth on Carson Hobbs. Pause to make sure the direction I'm going. He talks trash, and he's a leader. This was Malik, even as a youngster, when he walked into Notre Dame. Not intimidated. Let people know I'm here. I'm here, and I'm here to play. That's why Malik loves Carson Hobbs. He's been seeing the videos of him talking trash, talking about fellow commits like Logan Saldate saying, look, don't tell me about your track speed. Show me your speed on the field.
That's
We'll
right.
see when we line up across from each other in practice. We're going to see how fast you are because you don't
Because it's
play
that
anybody.
natural disrespect, you go
Yeah.
and I felt that early when we was in the group chat in my class going in. Guys just doesn't believe the athletes or anything other than country farmers in Ohio. And you just got to show these Cali and Texas and Florida boys that all of that yah isn't going to relate to the football speed because we're going to be putting them hands on you. But we also are very skillful. Shout out Julian Love as a Midwest guy, had a great pick on the game yesterday, but the Midwest football is different.
And left, that is funny, man, because it is. I guess it is a Midwest thing, right? Like, dude, we don't respect you. It's almost like we don't respect kids from the West when it comes to basketball. Even though, look,
Yeah,
it's Seattle.
it's a natural disrespect. I feel like I remember growing up. I just never thought that West Coast basketball was it just wasn't. It just wouldn't last out here.
Mhm.
You
Number
like you know
five on
how
your list.
BMW is a great car,
Yeah,
but it's really a West Coast car because it sits too low, and you'll have a ton of problems in the Midwest.
yeah. You don't want to drive a BMW unless it's a truck in the snow.
In the Midwest, it just wouldn't work, and that's
Yeah,
exactly what. It's a nice car, it's fancy,
yeah,
but it just can't survive in this type of environment. That's
yeah.
the basketball Cali basketball player to the Midwest.
And no disrespect, because it's been some. It's a nice list of LA hoopers that have come through the NBA.
Wait a minute. Now remember, Dayton is we if we just talking the heart of the Midwest, Dayton, Ohio, and what the University of Dayton had to do to them boys at UCLA when they was undefeated. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We built the whole stadium around doing something like that.
Number five on your impact can't wait to see list. Whew. Charlotte Christian's own Micah Gilbert, man. You really like this duo or this trio at wide receiver, but you couldn't get all three wide receivers in the five.
Yeah, I think this is one of the first quarterbacks we've had since probably hell, I can say since me of a receiver that wants to play with the quarterback that's coming in. And that's not a shade thing. That's just I think these guys have stuck through the recruitment and the transition well because they know together that they're gonna do well together. And so I think that commitment there, along with Michael Gilbert being a speedster and the ability he has, that is, I think, a nice complement to what Cam Williams has. I can definitely see a 1-2 punch with CJ Carr starting in the future.
I love this kid. I really do. I think he might be like the sleeper of the class. I understand why you put him at five. I was interested in seeing what you were going to do, but I see why you're really excited and you want to see this Notre Dame offense take the next step, become more modernized, and kind of get away from the ratio of run pass that's existed for pretty much what the last 20 plus years at Notre Dame.
Yeah, it just wouldn't be as impressive. We know Marcus Freeman is a defensive guy, and his leadership through that should be his base. The impressive part as a coach would be him and what he does offensively. You think of a guy like Brian Kelly, who's had a lot of success, but if you ask him, he will tell you he's a defensive guy. You're like, what the heck? Like, man, but he's on offense all the time. So he knows that that's something that, as a coach, he wants to manage personally because that's just not his forte. As you know what I mean? So I think for Marcus Freeman expanding what, like you said, we had a lack in my opinion, for quite
Mhm.
a while on just it all making sense. Yeah, we can get points. Yeah, we can get wins, but can we make it look good and win in the moments that we need to with players that, even in good games, we still have the better players. That's another thing that I'm looking forward to in the future through this recruitment stuff is that in these big games where we may not be slotted to win, but we have the best player on the field. I think the
Yeah,
game is a lot differently looked at if it's us versus Ohio State, but we had Marvin Harrison Jr. We had the number one player in the draft. So, I think that happens through recruiting and development, and Marcus Freeman is going to show that off in 24 and 25.
I absolutely believe that they have improved the talent in the last two classes offensively. I think Jaden Greathouse. I think Jaden Greathouse is going to have a great Sun Bowl left. I really do. I think he's going to have a really good game in the Sun Bowl. And we're gonna hear from players. We're gonna hear from a Notre Dame player that's gonna make you feel really good, Left, about Steve Angeli going into this Sun Bowl. And you have been trumpeting for Steve Angeli in the midst of transfer portal and everything. Like, let's see what he has. I'm gonna play you a clip, man. Some Notre Dame players, they sounding like they're pretty confident with their quarterback, their signal caller going into this bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, Steve has been there. Steve is the most familiar, especially if you think about it from the overhaul that's happening right now. You would think it's like a takeover. So they gonna latch on to things that they can relate to because they
Mm-hmm.
they want to have some synergy when this whole tide shifts this off season as well. You got CJ coming in with his boys,
Mm-hmm.
Riley Leonard coming in with his dudes. So you got Deion Cosley and JT and
Yeah,
Faison in there. Like, well, shoot, we don't know them.
right,
We know Steve though,
right,
and if Steve's starting, he gonna look to us because he know us, kind of
right.
thing. So, which is natural, and it's a little bit of past, present, and future happening at one time. But I think there's a nice mix you can have to that. But I do think that from a quarterback standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
you got to go with stability. And
Yeah,
especially if the Riley Leonard ain't showing me that he's that much better than Steve. I mean, at least Steve is the healthiest one. So it's and then especially when you think about a season like this where
mm-hmm.
it would be a lot easier of a transition to go into these playoffs with the respect of knowing like this is everybody's first time. We got a guy that ain't never did it before, but it's okay because yeah, you want to win now, but hell, we got to see how this terrain is gonna be
Right.
if we even need a transfer. So losing under Steve Angeli, I think is not better, but it's a better optic than losing under a guy like Riley Leonard who is coming in with the expectation of winning it all. And yeah, we want to win it all, but I think it's coming together better in 25 than it is in 24 just yet.
Everybody in the chat, you guys want to explain to Roderick Blackman what I've said like 5 times while he's trying to talk about the list is trash. It's not a top 5 players in the class list or a power ranking. It is Malik's 5 guys that he wants to see play. His top 5 guys.
Yeah, this ain't look. We like all of the
Like,
guys in the class.
relax, man. I said it
Yeah,
like
we.
3 different times.
There's no point of ranking the guys in the class because we got them all. So it doesn't matter where they rank. This is just okay. Now, out of all the things I'm taking home from the grocery store, what do I want to eat first? I done bought steak, chicken, turkey, ground turkey. I got some breakfast sausages. You know what I'm saying? I got some bacon, but I got some beef jerky. You know what I'm saying? I got different varieties. I'm just saying what I want to eat first. I might hold on to the flank steak for Taco Tuesdays and steak quesadillas. So I'm on Sunday I might hit the pot roast. But I'm just telling you what I want to eat first out of the refrigerator. But guess what? It's all in the refrigerator. It's all gonna be eaten up. It ain't no rank. You don't go into your refrigerator right now and rank the vegetables in your refrigerator. Why? Cause guess where it's all going to you.
Yes.
We all these recruits are us. We already won. There is no ranking when we won with everybody.
Like, why is it a shock that Malik, a quarterback, wants to see skill position players and a quarterback in his top 5? Like, I get it. My 5 players that I want to see, and I have a different reason Left, because when you really broke it down to me before the show, I was like, okay, we're not doing the rankings. The guys I want to see for whatever reasons, right? I want to see Sean Sevillano.
Absolutely.
Basically because he's put his mouth out there like, yo,
He,
I'm
he
coming.
put yeah, he put it out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. He put it out there. So I'm like,
Ain't
yo,
too many guys putting it out there.
how this dude, that's the craziest comment. How can you not care for how we want to do our list? It's our list. the way we want to do it. We're not about to do the same corny list that everybody else has done on their show
Because that's where they getting it
early.
from. You just gonna
Exactly.
repeat what they've already said, and we heard
That's
them.
it's boring.
Because if you don't say anybody other than what they've named, especially if it 3, 4 of the match, then you ain't saying nothing new.
Exactly.
Best about the best. It's like
So
hell.
the
We don't
night
know.
show, we're gonna regurgitate the same thing that everybody. Oh my God, you want us to regurgitate how great KVA is, how great Gerby
Now, if we
Lambert
had a
is.
LeBron,
Hey,
then you're
dude,
right. You know,
we're
if we
not
had
doing that.
LeBron James or one of them type of players, then not or Wemby or Wembenyaya. Okay, yeah, it's a little. We might have to talk a little extra on that. But we
Bro,
talking
well,
about a very solid class. You know
I
what I mean?
talked 5 hours earlier today. I'm not about to regurgitate the exact same content. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's lazy. That's lazy. So yeah, I want to see Sean Siciliano. Number one, because his body type, what he provides, I want to see him. I definitely want to see CJ Carr play. I don't know if CJ Carr would have been in this five for me left before the buzz during the
See, okay.
practices.
So you see my point though. He's not you're not thinking top 5 if we were ranking for CJ Carr. And it's not
I
that
don't
he's a
know if
bad
I would have
player.
wanted had the same urge to like see him play. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if it would have been
that's what I'm
there.
saying. If he was a now, if we said Deuce Knight, I got Deuce Knight in the top 5 because
Mm-hmm.
I expect to see him play early for the talent. I want to see if the talent is something we can lean on and develop as a young guy, a franchise guy.
Right,
But
right,
CJ's like, man, when he plays, I know he's gonna be all right. It's not
right.
even like an urge necessarily, because you like there's some guys I want to wait and see. But
Mm-hmm.
CJ's like, when he play, he gonna be straight, and we gonna, it's gonna be all right. You gonna have a chance.
Next, I definitely want to see. Carson Hobbs is on my list as well. Right, but once again, just because I know Mike Mickens is going to have him ready to play early. That's the track record. I expect him to play. I really do. And I expect him, once again, a kid with confidence, talks a great game. His father's a lifelong Notre Dame fan. His father, today, when we spoke to him, was like, yo, I've been telling him about Todd Light his entire life. Like, that's who I see him as. I think he's the
See,
next.
see.
He said, his dad said, I think he's the next Todd Light. And I was like, okay. If we get the next Todd Light, I'm like, okay, I
Speaking
want to
into
see that early.
existence.
Yeah, I definitely want to see that early.
So we got Ike Taylor, we got Todd Light.
Little Ike Taylor, yeah,
We got a nice legacy. When you get that legacy start floating around, you get some really good product.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I definitely would put, like I said, KVA is on my 5 list without question. I
Think about a
mean,
guy like Cole Luke. Cole Luke's cousin is like a Dallas Cowboy legend at corner.
mm,
Now, is Cole Luke a first generational talent corner? No. But is Cole Luke a very serviceable corner that got better over time and became a pretty dang good football player?
hmm
Hell yeah. Did he contribute to? Hell yeah. Carson Hobbs is kind of like that for me.
I think that's 4 for me, right? Because you made me, man. My list had to change up once we really started talking about this, right? This is
Right.
tough, man, because now I have to decide between, for the fifth guy, I have to decide between my boy here from the Shy and somebody that I just, man, I fanned out today, Left. I gotta be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man, we interviewed this kid. His father is a Notre Dame legend, and he's an NFL Hall of Famer. And yo, grew up literally like 5 minutes from my crib, dude. His father did, and it was a surreal moment, dude, to interview this kid, man. I fanned out. I stayed professional, but I fanned out. And
That's right.
trying to decide between Bryce Young and Cam Williams left. I feel like Cam would be mad if he heard me right now. Like, you gonna do me like that?
You damn right.
But for different reasons, I'm really looking forward to seeing both of them get on the field and to have the opportunity to show what they can do. I really am, man. I really am. And you know the Chicago in me, you know where it's leaning, right?
But Brian Young is gonna be fine, man. He's one of them kids. I'm
Brian
sorry,
is that.
Bryce
Yeah,
Young
yeah.
is one of those guys. You're gonna be fine because you know
Mm-hmm.
that it's just a matter of time. It's one
Mm-hmm.
of those when you secure in the class. It's like, listen, don't even. It's one of those Jerry Tillery picks.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, we may not be talking a lot about him. We know but because he's gonna be one of them.
yeah.
Just you know, he don't need the accolades and all that. He just watch him just pop out one day, and then you gonna be like, oh, he's next thing you know, he's up there for the sack leader.
I look around the national rankings, I've seen Notre Dame anywhere from 7 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. And I was looking at the rankings, they fluctuated hourly.
How many early guys can we get in?
I think 15 are coming in. I think I honestly left. I don't know if there's a limit at this point.
Because I thought it was just five when I did it.
No, 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 it's definitely more than that now.
Damn. Dang. Because when I did it, it was like straight, kind of like under the table. They could only get five in, and it was like they had to choose the five and all that.
Well, heck, right now you got kids, dude, practicing during the bowl prep left. So I don't know if that opportunity existed for you and the guys in your class.
Yeah, I mean, it was rare.
So CJ Carr, Cam Williams, Kingston, Villa Muasa, Bryce Young, Gerby Lambert, Keedron Young, Bronte Johnson, Logan Thomas, Michael Gibbert, Aeneas Williams, Logan Sadate, Leonard Moore Jr., Son Civiliano Jr., Jack Larson. Jack Larson is a sleeper, but heck, he's a tight end, so he's going to be good at Notre Dame, right? That's just the way it is. I can
He
hear,
got
like
that
we
name.
always said, he has that name that you can hear over the PA. Touchdown, Jack Larson. Yeah, it fits.
It's two written in stone.
Right. Peter Jones, Styles Prescott, Teddy Rezac, Carson Hobbs, Tabor Benny Powell, Bodie Cahoon, Anthony Knapp, Kennedy Erlacher, and Cole Mullins, right? And then the transfers that signed today, Mitch Jeter, the kicker from South Carolina, RJ Oben, big defensive end from Duke, Riley Leonard, the quarterback transferring from Duke, Bo Collins, from Clemson, wide receiver, Chris Mitchell, wide receiver from Florida International, and Jordan Clark, son of Ryan Clark from Arizona State. Those are the 29 young men that signed on the dotted line to become part of the Notre Dame Fighting.
Before you know it sound like an all-star team, you know, one of them end of the year all-star teams that teamed up together like free agency.
Left, did you ever think that you would see Brian Urlacher at Notre Dame gear, dude?
With him being so having so close ties to Chicago, anything can happen.
I never, I never thought I would see the day that Brian Urlacher has on a Notre Dame T-shirt and hat.
There's no way that Brian Urlacher didn't know about Notre Dame while he played at the Bears.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. Heck, I'm sure he knew about them when he was in high school.
Oh yeah, I mean he went in Mexico State though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Lucky Lefty podcast. So when we come back, oh, I'm gonna give it to you. Cats were talking crazy earlier on IB left. Crazy. Didn't have a clue what they were talking about. But I'm gonna let loose today. I'm gonna seal the deal on the Justin Scott saga once and for all. And then we're gonna hear from Notre Dame players. Just a teaser on some of the things that's been going on. And we'll get more into it on Friday's show with what the players have to say about some bowl practice. Left, SD2 Mike's Lucky Lefty podcast. You already know. we spin it
Spin it different.
different. We're back. Lucky Lefty Podcast. CFE Nation is where we reside. Presented by it's
Tea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here we go. Notre Dame prepping for the bowl game. Practices seem to be coming across quite well. One of the biggest surprises, a transfer from Ohio State last year that committed on National Signing Day, John the Baptist himself. He talks about this Notre Dame defense and what they're going to look like even next year.
Defense is going to be pretty fun. We're top 10 defense, and I think that we got another game to showcase what we got and to even move up in the ladders of it. But for next year, I know there's a lot of talent coming in. There's a lot of talent that's in the room right now. You think about the whole defensive room, and I think the boys should be good.
I agree with them, Left. I
As long
said
as we
it.
keep our golden, we'll be right on track.
That's just as simple as that for you, huh?
Yeah, as long as we keep them, we'll be all right. Guys
Yeah.
will fall in line and see how guys have developed on film, and guys are more routine, can kind of show the ropes. If you're getting guys that new every year, the older guys can't show the ropes, so you don't get no respect in the ranks. You know what I'm saying? You got to have guys that have been there, done that, so they can be like, come on, rookie, you supposed to, catch up. If you get new guys every year, new quarterbacks every time, them young bucks like Rico think he can just talk to JT any type of way. Hey, you get me a Gatorade, JT. That's probably why he left. And have Chancey Stuckey to back that up. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where there's got to be some respect amongst the ranks, but that comes with consistency in the staff to be able to let those guys that are older veterans be leaders. Through example.
I couldn't agree with you more. Lucky Lucky Podcast. DJ Brown, your last game as a Fighting Irish. What's been up with the quarterback, the starting quarterback, Steve Angeli?
Man, I mean, I told him that I think it was like probably 2 practices ago. He threw like a deep post to phase on. Steve's been doing a great job. He looks really relaxed, looks comfortable back there, and I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he does.
Left. Now, I was about to say a joke. It would have been a bad joke. I'm not about to crack on DJ Brown because he talked about throwing a post pass. It was a dime. I could go there, but I'm not. DJ Brown has had one of his better seasons in his final year, even though a lot of people point to the missed opportunities and missed interceptions, especially against Ohio State. I'm going to hold off, but I will say this. It's good to hear people talking about Steve Angeli and the calming influence that he could bring to an otherwise young offense as they go into the Sun Bowl. Left.
Yeah, I think was pretty cool is that the first thing he mentioned is the deep pass. I'm like, oh, you didn't talk about a swing route or a slant or a 5 and out. You talked about deep pass being a highlight. So that sounds like it spells good for the confidence that Steve has to let that thing go. And I think confidence makes up for like 15% of your accuracy because you believe in what you're doing. It's like your jump shot. If you don't believe in it, even though you can't quantify that on no stat sheet, you know your confidence level when you believe in your shot and when you don't. And for Steve to probably, at the time when you saw him, probably had low confidence in throwing the football to wide open guys. Like, I swear, it's like the hardest thing in the world when you have low confidence throwing the football in practice and you just running routes, just basic stuff. And the dude be wide open, and when you don't got confidence, it feels like the dude is 3 miles away. and you like, why does it seem so far? And it's really not that far, but it just shows that when you lose confidence in your arm, the easiest throws can seem the hardest, right? So Steve being relaxed shows that he's in there in command, and then you can start to see if he has the talent. His development comes when he has confidence, because now he can see what he's good and what he's not good at, right? So this is just giving an opportunity for Steve to really find his place on the team and gain some respect before Riley Leonard comes in and they're trying to shove him up in the starting role.
It is very important going into this game. He talked about it. The fact that he knows the playbook, and it seems like he was able to call checks at the line of scrimmage even when Sam Hartman wasn't. When you have a young offensive line and they have a guy that's confident enough to do that and has control of the playbook, which it seems like Steve Angeli does, even with limited reps, there are certain intangibles that you want to have at quarterback, regardless of arm talent and all of that other stuff. When you have a young running back, young running backs and young offensive line going into this bowl game, to have a guy that seems like he's calm, cool, collected, and has control of things, that's a positive.
Yeah, it's half the battle, because now when you go in there, the monster don't seem as big, because you know how to maneuver and how to beat the monster. When you're not confident in what you're going in with,
Yeah,
you may go in there and fighting a dragon and you got a bazooka. If you don't know how to load it, what's the use of it?
yeah,
You just like, well, shoot, I know I can do something, but I don't know how to work it. I can't beat it. When he know how to use every gadget, even the little, pocket knife that he got just in case of emergency, he know how to unlock something or whatever. You become nifty
yeah.
and prepared for situations even when you haven't faced them yet, because of your confidence and your knowledge level of what's given to you. So I do think that Steve, from what we've seen, has some of that in him, which I think is going to show a difference in what we saw from him in the beginning and where we're seeing him as a full-time starter.
Your boy Jeremiah Love, man, he's about to get an opportunity left. We've been waiting for this all year. We've been talking about how he's different, how he's moved up to that second seat in the film room. Jeremiah Love, what are your thoughts, young man, about this opportunity and what you could possibly do with it?
To it, I mean, I don't really fold on the pressure. I think pressure is only going to make me better. You feel me? And with more carries, I can really show what more I can do.
What'd you learn from Audric this year?
Be more physical, go on my pad level a little lower, and to really put in more work off the field. Audric was the type of person that was really always working when nobody else was, and I learned that if I want to be the best, I gotta, follow in his footsteps and work when nobody else is working, and always work on my craft, lift a little bit more too.
He said lift a little bit more too at the end. That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I think he should definitely not look at Aldrich and want to be like that. I just don't think that's the type of player we expect him to be. Aldrich was just one of those, tanks that you roll in with. It ain't no surprise that he's coming. If you fight in the war, tanks is a part of it. Jeremiah Love is that fighter jet plane that you don't know when it's coming, but it can hit and be impactful at any time and destroy your whole camp. You don't know if they got one of them. You hear about it, but you don't really know. That's how he should look at the season. Don't roll in like a tank. That's not where your money gonna be. Darian Price fits that role more than you would. You got to
Mm,
find a way to be that sneaky, explosive bomb to take out the head guy, make a huge impact, score some points on some long highlights. We need highlight explosive plays.
mm.
Not the Aldrich, give you 15, 25 carries in a game. And then when you look up, he done ran everybody over and, he 200 yards later. So I do think that from a consistent work habit, you should definitely pick up on an Aldrich. But from a running style, I think you should look at somebody else's film.
Yeah, I don't think running style. I took from it that that's somebody from a work ethic standpoint. He wants to emulate how he gets better. Because I don't think he really was about lifting weights until he saw Aldrich Estimate put in the work. But I don't think Jeremiah Love is about to go crazy in the weight room like Aldrich.
No.
I don't even think his body could take. I don't think his frame could take that type of work. But I think he knows who he is. But the work ethic that Aldrich had, I think, is something that sticks with him and will continue to do so in his time at Notre Dame.
Yeah, Aldrich would be a nice staple. Jerome Bettis didn't get celebrated until he got to the Steelers on a memorable legacy sealed standpoint on a national level, like the bus. I mean, he was the face of the lovable characters on the biggest stage, and I think Aldrich could be something like that, where his name is bigger in the pros than it was in college. But when you look back and you be like, man, he was nice in college. Like, for instance, Patrick Beverly averaged 37 in high school. But you look at Patrick Beverly now, you're like, oh, how did he get to the NBA? But you look back and be like, oh, he was the man amongst average humans. But it shows you just, that, yeah, he was getting busy. You just didn't know about it until then. But Pat Bev, though.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with it. Lucky Lefty podcast, man. We're gonna get to more of what the players have today say and dig into it on Friday. Like I said, tomorrow you don't want to miss it. 11 o'clock. We'll be right back here. Lauren Landau, the new strength and conditioning coach, and our own Cam McDaniel, who, this is what he does in Texas with high school kids, repairing injuries to their limbs through modern medicine. And he is super excited about the hire of Lauren Landau. And he's going to come in on the show and break down exactly what Notre Dame is getting and why he's super excited that Marcus Freeman is going in this direction with the strength and conditioning program. He feels like that Marcus Freeman is taking Notre Dame into the future of strength and conditioning. So that will be Cam McDaniel with us tomorrow. Man, we'll let him talk as long as he can and take your questions. If you have questions, make sure you have them ready for Cam tomorrow when he talks. Lauren Landau is a new strength and conditioning coach and what he brings to Notre Dame right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Left, you ready?
We here.
Hey, man, let's get to it, man, because cats were talking crazy. Well, they've been talking crazy for a while. I just kind of let it slide. Just like I told you,
they talk pretty crazy out there.
I will never apologize for doing my job. Never.
That's right.
Never.
That's
Never.
right.
Never apologize for doing my job. Never apologize for having information that other people don't have, left.
That's right.
I'm not going to apologize for that at all. So let's start from the very beginning, right? So back in January of 2023, I made my first trip to the west side of Chicago. And I chop it up with a young man and his two best friends, who happens to be Richard Barron, who's playing college basketball right now, and Phoenix Gill, who's currently one of the top 5 players in the state of Illinois, son of Kendall Gill. And we're chopping it up about recruiting in both basketball and football at St. Ignatius. The conversation continues, and at some point it becomes myself and Justin Scott. And Justin Scott proceeds to tell me that Michigan is his leader at the time. He gives me the list of reasons why Michigan is his leader at the time. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening. He's talking about their accountability system for academics. He's talking about the brotherhood and how they make him feel. And I'm like, whoo, man, okay. So then, I got an opportunity, bookmark this, Left. I get an opportunity to talk to his head coach during the basketball game. His head coach tells me, yo, these are the schools that, he's high on. And it pretty much was like the 5 schools that were his finalists, right? The only school that got kicked out was Wisconsin because they hired Luke Fickell and the defensive coordinator Jim Leonard was no longer going to be around, who had been his main recruiter and honestly his favorite recruiter up until that point individually. So Wisconsin dropped off. So at this time, the day I met him now, Michigan is the leader. Michigan is the leader. So we talked. I talked to his head coach, and his head coach is like, yo, I say, Coach, Notre Dame, how you feeling? And he said, they're coming, but I feel like they could be doing more. Which that struck me as being very interesting. Very interesting. So we end the conversation. I write an article and I post intel on the IB message board from our conversation. And days later, Marcus Freeman, Tommy Reese, and pretty much the entire defensive staff sojourn to Chicago to St. Ignatius High School. They make a huge impact on Justin Scott. And Justin Scott tells me, like, yeah, meeting Coach Freeman was like amazing. And he fell in love with Marcus Freeman, right? And all of a sudden, here comes Notre Dame making a charge. I go back to the next game. And he's like, yo, man, the conversation with Notre Dame has been great. I'm loving it. Michigan still in the lead? Yeah, probably. But, man, Notre Dame's giving me a lot to think about. Then all of a sudden, he says, yo, I'm going to make a decision on my birthday and commit. Like, word? Like, yeah. Who is it going to be? It's going to be Notre Dame. All right, cool. All right, bet. I'm not going to mess up the kid's opportunity to make the commitment. Little did I know that Ryan Day was going to spoil the apple cart. Ryan Day was really the one that came in and said, yo, you need to take your visits, man. Don't make a rash decision. Take your visits. So he talks it over with his family. And he says, okay, I think I should take the official visits. Cancels his commitment, which was on the 31st of January, which is his birthday. In the meantime, there's a team lurking. Because right now, this is a Michigan-Notre Dame race right now. Ohio State comes to the game, gets him to think about taking official visits, and the whole time there's a team lurking, outworking everybody quietly. Nobody's saying anything. And then he sneaks off for an unofficial during the week of his spring break. And then all of a sudden you start hearing the buzz like, oh, snap. Miami has a really good shot of landing Justin Scott, right? So I'm like, yo, is this real? And he's like, yo, Mr. Davis, like, I really love it. And I'm like, cool. Now, see, this is where everything, so I want to correct everybody. So, people are out there like putting out falsehoods. From the jump, I said it's going to be really tough. And this is why I said Georgia never had a shot, in my opinion. I said it's going to be really tough to pull this young man. I never said he wasn't leaving the Midwest. I said it's going to take a lot to get this young man to leave the Midwest. My exact words. He went down there, and he didn't go down there by himself. He went down there with some of his peeps and had a great time, man. It was like, yo, what else? It's South Beach. A visit to the University of Miami, the campus, the Coral Gables is beautiful, and you're kicking it. It was like, yo, it was the perfect storm. So, yeah, he comes
Yeah,
back.
that's right.
He comes back, and now another thing, because Jason Smith, thank you for saying that. This is another thing to keep in mind. The first time I met him, I said, yo, from what I'm hearing, Notre Dame loves you and Marquise Lightfoot, who's also from Chicago, out of Kenwood Academy. His eyes lit up. He said, oh, word? I said, yeah. Now, at this time, I heard from Marquise Lightfoot that from the horse's mouth, see, Left, I don't have to go to outside sources. I'm here. I'm here. I can go to the horse's mouth. I can pull up. I know the way to Kenwood Academy. I don't have to call anybody else. My godson goes to Kenwood Academy. He's on the lacrosse squad. Dude, I got the connects. So I know how to get to who I need to get the information. So I pull up. Yo, what's good? Man, I talk to Coach. Man, me and Coach Washington talk on a weekly basis. This is where the relationship with Lightfoot and Notre Dame was at that time. Somehow, some way, over the coming weeks and months, things slowed down. He wasn't hearing from Notre Dame as much. I don't know if it was because of Logan Thomas specifically. I don't know if it was because of another guy they wanted to get on. But they cooled on the young man. Now, Justin Scott and Lightfoot and Cam Williams, they're cool. Just keep that in mind. They're cool. So now everything is kind of open back up. Everything else is open back up. Miami, yo, is outworking everybody. They're outworking Ohio State. They're outworking Michigan. They're outworking Notre Dame. They're doing everything, right? And everybody's like, well, if you didn't want to come to Notre Dame, we don't need them. All right, that's fine. If you're scared to work for a kid that's a 5-star, then that's on you. I'm sorry. If that's the elitist attitude you want to have, then fine. But there are some kids that are 5 stars, top 5 players in the nation. You have to work for those kids. And there's no reason a school over 1,000 miles away should be coming to Chicago outworking a school that's 70 miles away. Make it make sense to me, Left. Make it make sense to me how a school over 1,000 miles away can outwork a school that's 70 miles away. I'll wait for you, Left. Make it make sense to me.
Yeah, lack of attention to detail, man.
Let me know how a school 330 miles away can outwork a school that's 70 miles away, Left. Make it make sense to me.
They just wanted more. That's what it is.
How far is Columbus away from Chicago? About 500 miles?
Yeah, it's pretty far.
Okay. How can a school 500 miles away from this kid outwork the school that's 70 miles away from this kid? Top 5 kid, 5-star, backyard. How are you getting outworked? How are they showing up to Chicago more than you? How? Then you got people defending it. Oh, Al Golden was at a basketball game. One, he's 70 miles away. One, cats on IG driving up on the Dan Ryan. I'm driving on the Dan Ryan. Dude, Miami coaches have been here twice the same week that you drove up on a Friday. What are we talking about? They got outworked. Period. And I don't know how long. Dude, Tom Lemming, the GOAT, came on the recruiting show earlier today. You know what I've been saying that I've been getting backlash for on this podcast? Do you know what Tom Lemming said? Do you know what Tom Lemming said today, Left? He
What he
flat out
said?
said, when it comes to Chicago talent, Chicago in the last 6 years has put 51 players into the NFL. You know how many guys Notre Dame were on out of that
Probably
51?
like 3.
3 players. 3 players out of the 51
Oh, I
Notre
was
Dame was
right.
in on. Yes, you were right.
Oh,
And Tom Lemming said Notre Dame has done a terrible job at recruiting Chicago over the past 6 years. Who has been saying that for over a year on this podcast, Left? Who has been telling
that's right.
people
The
that the
man from
Michigan
Chicago.
flag, the Ohio State flag, and other flags are flying higher than Notre Dame? And it's closer. Who's been saying that, Left? I have.
The one and only SD2 Mics, man.
They've been getting outworked. And this is the crazy thing. You know who he threw under the bus? He said
Assistant coaches.
He said Tommy Reese was the point man for Chicago, and he didn't do a good job. He just flat out threw Tommy under the bus. I was like,
There's
whoa.
Tommy from the Burbs, man.
I was like, whoa. But that's the GOAT talking. You know, so don't believe Sean Davis. You don't have to believe Sean Davis. That's the GOAT who's from Chicago. That in the same breath has said multiple times, I have no clue how in the world Notre Dame messed this up when it comes to Justin Scott. He said that multiple times. So you don't have to take my word. Take the GOAT's word. They got outworked and they messed up. Period. All the narratives about he's a bad kid. It's all about the money. No. Notre Dame messed up. Facts. Tried to tell you they were getting outworked. No one wanted to believe me. No, that can't be the case. It has to be something else. No, it's not anything else. He's a 5-star kid. 5-star kids that are top 5 in the nation, it goes down to the wire. You have to work. You have to work your tail off to get them into your program. And if you're not willing to put in the work, you think it's too much, you feel like, oh, we're Notre Dame. We don't have to do all of that. Then fine, don't do it. And you won't get kids like that. You won't. You don't have to. Continue doing what you're doing. While Ohio State, Michigan, Miami, and every other school around the country plants their flag in Chicago. Because, you know, there's a wide receiver in the 25 class that Miami is pretty close. Well, I'm not going to say that because Mike Brown has a pre-existing relationship with the kid. So we'll see how it goes. But Miami is putting in that work with that young man. You can believe that. Along with a lot of other schools. Ohio State is putting in that work. Oh, Carnell Tate is dropping messages. Oh, you can believe that. So if he doesn't choose Notre Dame, is it going to be NIL for him as well? Lucky Lefty Podcast. So then I put up a tweet, right? I said, this young man has had 3 leaders, Michigan, Notre Dame, and Miami. And I said, it's going to be a race to the finish line to see which one of these schools get his services. I was trying to let you know without letting you know that it's going to come down to these 3 schools. Michigan, Notre Dame, and Miami. Everybody, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, cool. All right. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Then he shocks the world, Left. He goes on his official visits. 1, Notre Dame didn't get one. You know why? Because he said, dude, I've been to Notre Dame. I already know what it's about. I don't need to waste an official visit. I can read between the lines and tell you what that meant. You know what, Left? You know what that means, Left? Can I tell you what he really was saying?
What's that mean, man?
They don't put in extra work for me, so I'm not gonna put in extra for them.
Oh yeah, they like me, but they ain't showing me.
Yeah, dude. I'm getting like, I mean, so cool. Why should they get an official? All these other schools are putting in work, doing the most. That's 70 miles away. I've been there like 3 times. I know what it is. It's the Midwest. I can read between the lines and tell you what he was saying. He was at the practice for Notre Dame on March 31st. Last time he was on campus. Notre Dame doesn't get one of the official visits. He goes on official visits. He comes back. He tells me I'm going to make a decision early in July. Early in July, I'll make a decision, right? He tells Cam Williams that he's going to Michigan because that's his boy. Cam Williams lets Notre Dame know, like, man, this is what he said. So when he finally makes the decision that he's going to Ohio State, everybody's shocked. Like, I'm at my parents' house on a Sunday, Left. B. Drisk is blowing my phone up. Like, yo, what's going on? Da, da, da. I'm like, what you talking about? Like, oh, this kid committed to Ohio State. I'm like, Ohio State? I'm like, word? Yeah. I get home. I said, yo, what's up with this Ohio State decision? Mr. Davis, yo, man, when I went on the visit, the guys and the rest of the class, the players I'm going to be playing with, man, it's just really attractive. And the more I thought about it, and the more I talked it over with my coaches, in order for me to get to the next level and do what I want to do, Ohio State was the best path for me. I said a better path than Michigan because you really talked about how you love what they had and accountability. He said, yeah, man. He said, you know, the defensive line coach at Ohio State just has a better track
That's
record.
hard to beat.
So you know who the defensive line coach is at Michigan. You know, the same dude that put defensive linemen into the pros for Notre Dame.
Yeah, same dudes on Sundays.
But he didn't put any first rounders into the pros. He put
That's
guys
true.
into the pros. But he wasn't stacking first rounders like, oh boy, Mr. Johnson up at Ohio State. So I said, okay. I said, are you still going to listen to other teams? He said, yeah. So 2 days later on Irish Breakdown, we talked about his commitment, and I said on Irish Breakdown, Brian Driscoll has the footage. You're going to check it out. I flat out said, he's not staying committed to Ohio State. I said, that's not his last commitment. And Brian Driscoll was like, you think? I said, oh, I know so. That's not his last commitment. So we fast forward. Notre Dame is still working, even after he commits to Ohio State. They're still working on him, trying to get him to come up for a game, you know. And
Yeah, absolutely. And
Miami, they're working. See, Notre Dame is working, but not Miami is putting in that work. Does that make
that's
sense,
right. They
Les?
putting in the right work.
Yeah, my
You
Notre
know what I
Dame's
mean? If
working.
you restructuring the bathroom, you're not looking to replace the microwave.
Yes. See, what you don't
It's like, yeah,
realize,
y'all both spent money, but I spent money on the tile, the shower head, the whole thing.
yeah. So what you don't realize is that Miami has multiple NFL and Miami legends that reside in the Chicago area. Guys like, you know, Jared Payton, right? Not only that football players, but baseball players as well that played in Major League Baseball, right? So they start to lean on guys like Jared Payton, guys like Russell Maryland. And the pitch to the young man is the same way Russell Maryland was that guy that started things on the defensive line for Miami. That's what you're going to be for Miami. That's
Yeah,
the
guys
pitch.
that really got footholds in the game that you
No,
respect.
you're talking about multiple championship winning defensive tackle. Man, first round pick, high pick. This is their pitch. And it's not coming from just anybody.
Chad in the recruiting office.
It's coming from Jason Taylor.
Who can show you some one-on-one moves as he's talking to you.
Jason Taylor.
It's like what you do when you jump on the
Bro.
phone with State Farm. Be like, let me talk to your supervisor.
Miami's putting in.
Yeah, they got us
work.
talking to receptionists at Notre Dame. They talking to Miss Joy. They got the janitor on the line recruiting Justin Scott. You got the assistant strength coaches hitting his line, writing the letters. He's like, why am I hearing from the nutritionist? Justin Scott getting recruiting mail from the nutritionist. Make sure he eat twice a day, brush his teeth 3 times at night. He ain't getting no real mail from the Tim Brown and all the greats at Notre Dame. Manti ain't hitting his phone.
See, this is this is the joke, right? Chad Bowden is a superstar. I'm gonna say it right now. When it comes to recruiting, Chad Bowden is a superstar. Flat out. The way he coordinates what goes on, the way he's coordinated the last 2 classes. It's Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, like right there, dude. Right there. Superstar. Once again, Tommy Rees, this is telling. The number 1 defensive tackle, point man, other than Marcus Freeman, was Tommy Rees. It was Tommy Rees that was literally in Chicago recruiting Justin Scott in the Chicago area when he was interviewing for the Alabama OC job. He was actually in Chicago during this time when he was considering leaving for Alabama. He was in Chicago recruiting. He went to more basketball games at St. Ignatius than anybody. That's very telling.
Very telling.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shade anybody. That's not what I'm trying to do today. I'm just giving you the facts.
Yeah, you just saying it very telling.
Take it for what it's worth.
But take it with a grain of salt.
Take it with a grain of salt, right? So it gets to about October, and the kid starts to have a true change of heart because his last leader before the official visits in his heart of hearts was Miami. Which I knew this. And I knew, like I said, out of the 3 schools, Notre Dame, Michigan, and Miami, this is going to be his final choice out of these 3 schools. I tweeted that back in like the end of April. And people were like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, cool. These have been his 3 leaders back and forth during this process. All the other teams, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, he's not going there because that's not where his heart is. Miami, on his official visit, put in a call to multiple Miami players to meet up in Coral Gables the weekend of his official visit to Miami. Not to talk to Justin Scott, but to sit and talk to Obama. Justin Scott in the room with the former greats of Miami. They had 5 Miami greats in a room with Justin Scott's mother, trying to convince her to let her son come to Miami. Now, what did I say from the jump, Left? It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to get that dude away from the Midwest. They didn't even bring the former players in to recruit Justin Scott.
Didn't need to.
He had his heart. They knew they had to get his mama.
Oh, they was running the ball efficiently.
Doing the most, doing what other people weren't willing to do. That's what they were doing, Left.
You get a guy like Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Clinton Portis calling your phone.
So 2 days before, let me fast track this, dude, because dude, let me seal the deal, dude. 2 days before he decommits from Ohio State, I get a phone call from my brother that's been on this podcast. When I say brother, I don't say that lightly. He's my brother. I get a phone call from Jared Payton, like, yo, this is what's going down. I think we're going to get the kid. I said, word? I said, yeah. I said, so what you say to him? He said, man, we bypassed. He said, dude, we don't have the money. We don't have administration support. You know what it is down in Miami. Our NIL, we just lost a quarterback last year because the NIL wasn't right in Miami. We're not sitting here in a position where we can match NIL. He wants to be in Miami. So I told him, kid, come play and the money will come. But right now, all you need to do is follow your heart. That was the pitch. And when they pitched that to him and pitched that to his mother finally relented and said, you know what? If that's what you want to do, I'll support you. And that's the only reason he left the Midwest, because his mother finally gave her graces to it. That's the only reason he left his mama. The only reason. He's a mama's boy. I've been saying that since the jump. He wasn't going to make the move until his mother said, okay, I support you, son. I support you.
And ND's supposed to be #1 in mamas.
And thank you, Left. Thank you. Which leads me to the final thing. I know everybody's waiting for this. I got the okay to talk about it because I flat out asked. I said, I want to make sure. Let me get the exact word, the exact question. I said, this is me talking to Justin Scott. I said, did the situation that took place between your mom and Coach Washington have a negative impact with your parents? He said, yes, it did. Now, I'm not about to, I wasn't there. So I can't give you blow by blow, right? But I'm going to respectfully say that Al Washington was a bit overzealous in trying to recruit Justin Scott. Offended Justin Scott's mom to the point that she was no longer an advocate for Notre Dame in the recruiting. And that's huge for a kid that was making his decision based upon his mother. Huge.
Al Washington didn't study the scouting report, huh?
Huge. I'm not the only person that knows about this. Brian Driscoll probably just doesn't want to talk about it. That's fine. If he doesn't want to talk about it, that's fine. And I'm not about to get into the incident, right? Because in my opinion, the incident, I can see where she's coming from. But I've heard worse, Left. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right.
I've heard worse. So I feel like, this is me, I feel like it could have been overcome. But her, she was like, nah, I'm good on that. Kind of sounded similar to the way Carnell Tate's mom, rest in peace, was like, nah, I'm good on that. And that was the end of Carnell Tate coming to Notre Dame.
Yep, just like that.
So, like I said, dude, it's not just me. Tom Lemming is saying the same thing. They got outworked and they messed up. So as much as everybody wants to protect the kingdom, and it's got to be something else. No, man. Sometimes you just lose, or maybe you just never really wanted it.
Yeah.
Either way, right?
Yeah,
Just
either
period.
way, it's a fumble of the bag. And
Either way. And by the way,
directly or indirectly, he was
by the
responsible.
way, for all the people with the NIL out there, he took less NIL going to Miami than he would have had at Ohio State. So that NIL narrative, you can drop that too, because he took the least bag. It was the Notre Dame bag, the Miami bag, the Michigan bag, the Ohio State bag. He took the least of the bags in his decision. So y'all can drop that whole NIL crap y'all trying to place on that young man. You don't even know the young man. Period. You don't know him. You're trying to put him in a box because you're mad he didn't choose the school you love. You don't know him. Period. Period. See, this is what I talk about. Remember when we talked about the situation 2 weeks ago? And I was like, yo, other people, if they don't want to talk about it, that's on them. I'll talk about it. Because there's other people in the media that cover Notre Dame that know exactly what happened between the coaching staff and his mother. They know exactly what happened. Because when it happened, Justin Scott was like, yo, it's all good. He tried to smooth it over. He tried to smooth it out. Didn't work. Moms wasn't feeling it. You guys asked. You wanted to know what went down. That's what went down. As I said before, I didn't do me. I didn't think it was. I can look at it and I understand the point of view from his mom saying, yo, what's up with that? I just think it was a coach just trying to be aggressive and trying to be a little overzealous, dude. That's it. And it just didn't go. It didn't happen the way he probably thought it was going to happen. So wasn't like he did anything terrible or anything bad, said anything out of, disrespect. Sometimes things are taken a certain way. It couldn't be fixed. And that's that. That's that. But like I said, dude.
And that's that. That's right.
Dude, I could have broken the decommitment stuff 2 days before he did it. I had the information.
You had the info, yeah. You was just
Like,
sitting
dude. It's like, and I told people he's not staying committed to Ohio State. I told people. I tweeted back at the end of April. He's going to decide between Miami, Michigan, and Notre Dame. I told people that. Dude, you can go find it on my timeline, bro. Sorry, the tweet is there.
The AI bots get after it.
Dude, talking about no, you didn't. The tweet is there. I got articles, I got proof, I got the show on Irish Breakdown where I said he's not sticking with Ohio State. I got receipts. I ain't that type of clown. I don't have time to waste making up stories. And I definitely have never been played. Ever. Not in recruiting. I don't know, dude. Never been played. Especially in Chicago. Sorry. Y'all just mad. Because Tom Lemming is saying the exact same thing that I said. So if I got played, Tom Lemming got played too. Now what? If Tom Lemming reiterated the same thing today, earlier. The same thing. So if I got played, Tom Lemming got played. So you can stay in your feelings or just accept it. It is what it is and move on. Because Sean Stabiliano Jr. is a great player. Notre Dame rebounded excellent in the 2024 class, and Davion Dixon is coming right behind him. But this whack, see, this cornball stuff with people behind Twitter feeds and people that have no clue who these young men are, try to put labels on people because they just don't like the era of NIL and transfer portal. Man, grow up. Sorry. Grow up. Sorry. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. So, dude, what are you talking about? Dude, when did I accuse? I didn't accuse Al Golden of being racist. Man, get your cornball tails out of the chat. Dude, just go. Just go. That type of dumb stuff. What are you talking about? Nobody accused Al Golden of being racist. Get your goofy self off the show. Matter of fact, unsubscribe. See, that's the type of stuff. I don't do that, man. I don't do that. I don't talk no racism and all that crap here, man. Get the heck out of here. Don't be bringing that crap. Take that crap to the other shows you like. Please, take that to the other shows you like. You're a clown, bro. And everybody in the chat is letting you know you're a clown. You're probably a racist. Good. You're not subscribed, then leave. Why are you here? Why are you here? You're the racist. Go ahead and expose yourself. Go ahead and expose yourself. You're the racist. You're the true racist. That's how things happen. Most racists expose themselves. Period. Lucky Lefty podcast, man. So, dude, now I said it. Now I insinuated it. Make up your mind, bro.
They don't know you got them on the
I
back
never said anything about race in this whole story. Ever.
We're not Rashad Mendenhall.
No, we're not, man. I ain't even talking about that. He's just mad because he didn't put in work. So he's a lover of a host of another podcast that tries to talk trash about us on the low. That's what he's doing. He's over here trolling for his boy that posted a picture of Al Golden at a basketball game, like that was going to do something. Still doesn't change that they got to outwork. Sorry. Doesn't change a thing. Got to outwork. Doesn't change a thing. Sorry. See, that's how lies start, dude. I'm starting to realize, you know, when you're not afraid to speak truth, and you speak truth, and for whatever reason, other people don't want to delve into that layer of honesty and truth, then they try to find little ways to discredit you. I got too many facts, too many receipts to be discredited. Sorry. Way too many receipts. And as I said before, I'll never apologize for doing my job. And I'm back. See, for the 24 class, left because of what I was dealing with. I really couldn't dig in the way I did on the 23 class. But I'm back. 25, oh, we're about to get real.
You in
Myself
depth.
and Ryan Roberts, oh.
You in depth on 25.
Yeah, we're about to keep it real funky in 25. You can believe that. You can believe that. See that? But see, this is like, dude, this is the happiness of the 24 class. So we can bring this full circle. In spite of what happened, the response and the way Marcus Freeman and the staff responded after that to get the guys that they got and to be on kids like Burgess, who's going to make a decision in the coming weeks out of Chicago, and to be in on Taylor Taylor. They're now putting in the work. They're now putting in the work in Chicago. It's going to be a long road, but they're putting in the work in Chicago, man. And like Tom Lemming said today, they've been terrible over the last 6 years. Terrible. His words, not mine. His words. The staff has responded after what happened earlier this year, and you have to love what they're getting on the interior of the defensive line and on the outside. So this is just closing the deal because people have been asking if I was going to talk about it on National Signing Day. I said I would, and I closed the show out talking about it. And there it is. And the lasting point from the whole saga is Notre Dame responded the way big-time programs should respond after disappointment in the middle of a recruiting cycle. So it's really not even about Justin Scott. It's more about Marcus Freeman, this staff, and Al Washington, and how they responded to get the haul that they got on the defensive side of the ball. That's what everybody should be ecstatic about. The story is the story. The story lines up with everything I said from the jump. There's nothing new. It's nothing new. His three leaders were his three leaders his entire time. It's nothing new. What I've been saying about Chicago and the flag of Notre Dame in Chicago, like I said, confirmed by the GOAT himself, Tom Lemon. It is what it is, but Notre Dame is working to change that narrative, bro. That's what I'm excited about. They're working to change the narrative. They're on 3 kids next year in the 25 class. I think they end up with 2 of them. In my estimation, Taylor is going to be, man, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle.
Every time.
Because when they came up here to see Justin Scott just a week ago, they went to see Nate Marshall. They went to see Marquise Lightfoot. And they stopped in on Taylor. Dude, Miami is working, bro. Miami is working. And if you go look on Twitter today, who was the first person to retweet, or one of the first people to retweet Justin Scott's post for his commitment and Marquise Lightfoot's post? It was Jared Payton, who was very pivotal in the recruitment of both young men out of Chicago, along with other Notre Dame, Miami greats that live in the Chicago area. Hey, man, we got tons of Notre Dame greats that live in the Chicago area. Tons. Let them be assets. Let Chris Zorich be an asset. Let Pete Bursich be an asset. Heck, use them. Use them. Do what you have to do. Do what you have to do, man. But the way, yes, Berkshire York, that's a whole nother story. Jared Payton was supposed to be fighting Irish, and he got screwed by admissions. That's a true story that he actually told right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. So this is a great day. I didn't tell that story. Well, I told the story because I said I would. I gave him a word. But I told it at the end to say Notre Dame is, in spite of that, Notre Dame is killing it right now. And Notre Dame is putting in work in Chicago, unlike what they've been doing the previous 6 years. I would never throw Tommy Rees under the bus to make him the sole reason why that happened. Tom Lemming, he kind of did. He was like, yo, he was a Chicago point man. He dropped the ball, right? Because in my opinion, Notre Dame could have had Malik Elzy last year if they really pushed for him. So it's not like they can't get Chicago kids. It's just a matter of whether or not they really want the kid and whether or not they're really willing to fight and make the push that's necessary. They did that for Burgess. And so we'll see where he decides to go. I think his date is January 6th left. I think it's January 6th, but yo, everybody should be super excited, man. Like that Justin Scott thing now should be put to bed. Because at the end of the day, Notre Dame has still moved on and done a great job. They really have. They really have. Truman Theodore Dumel. When is the February signing day? Can we win? It's usually the first Wednesday in February. So let me get the right date. It's usually the first Wednesday in February. February 7th. February 7th. That first Wednesday. Thank you for the super chat. Byron McIntyre says, Sean, did you address that issue that was in the chat on IB earlier today? I just did, Byron. I just did. Like I said, people have been looking for it, asking about it. It is what it is. Now, look, I'll say this, Left. You can say what you want to say about Mario Cristobal as a strategist and coach, but he's proven that he can recruit the trenches at Oregon, and he's proven he can recruit the trenches at Miami. That is what he's already proven. So,
2 seconds.
I don't know. And I don't know if people know this. Miami has a very strong Miami and Chicago. There are a lot of people that go to the University of Miami every year from Chicago. And strictly from their law school, they have a lot of connections to Chicago through their law school. So Miami and the connections here in the Chicagoland area, just from a school standpoint, education-wise, is probably a little bit stronger than most people would imagine, with the school being in Southern Florida, with a Midwest city. They definitely have an imprint in Chicago. Yeah, they have a huge alumni imprint.
That should be Notre Dame's secret weapon in Chicago.
Well, the imprint that they have is nowhere near the Notre Dame imprint. But I'm just saying, for a school that's not in the Midwest, they have a really solid imprint in the city. And that's
right.
just with like students Left. That's not even counting like the former players that live here, right? Andre Brown, he is the player, the wide receiver that actually caught the touchdown pass from Steve Walsh in that 88 game that made it 31-30. Well, he didn't catch it. He rolled over, he didn't catch it, but they gave him a touchdown. Andre Brown Sr., his son is a sophomore. Michael Shrewsbury has already offered him for the basketball team. The kid is like 6'5", 195. He's a pup. He's a pup right now.
Yeah,
but he's going to be one of the best receivers in the state in like another year or so. You know, but I fully expect that, you know, his father would try to push him to Miami. Like, he's Miami legacy. Why wouldn't he push him to Miami? So, yeah, you know, he came back to Chicago. Well, he's from Chicago. He graduated from Finger High School in Chicago and went down to Miami. But Miami came to Chicago and got a lot of great players when they started their run on the Snellenberger, and they're trying to recreate that now because of that imprint they have in Chicago. So that yeah. Closing remarks on this wonderful 2024 class, Left. Great 2-hour show.
That's right, man. I mean, it's a great preview of what we believe is going to be the class that sets the tone for Marcus Ravens' tenure as he comes into his 3rd year of the program.
I see it. I'm right there with you. Great educational institution, University of Miami is. But I agree with you, see it, man. Skip them dudes. I've been like that since the 80s. Skip them dudes. Right? I'm still waiting for that get back for that smackdown back in 19. I need that. Because I still haven't.
True smackdowns.
Man, that cat Jared Payton would not let me live it down, Left. I need to get the Hurricanes back on the schedule so we can exact some revenge.
They beat us. They beat us like something was on the line. For
Man,
sure.
I got the Andretti said, man, I was there. Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. That you probably snuck out at halftime, Andretti. You probably snuck out at halftime, right? But it was funny because Jared and I were sat next together at Soldier Field in 2012, left when we smacked Stephen Morris in the crew. So it was like
That's right.
turnabout.
That was Tommy Reese
Yeah, that was no Ev started that game.
with the Shamrock helmet.
Mm-hmm. Ed started that game. Atkinson had like a big touchdown around the end, a long touchdown. They dominated. I think they rushed the ball for like 300 yards that night because it was a cold night left. It was freezing. Man, it was freezing. Man, that was one of the coldest games I've ever been to. So, yeah, that was a great night. I talked trash all night to him and a couple other former Hurricanes. But, you know, they got the last laugh because they're still talking trash from 19. Still to this day.
That's crazy.
Lucky Lefty podcast. Great show. Great day. 29 young men are new members of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Well, don't forget, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock, Cam McDaniels is on to talk about Lauren Landau, the new strength and conditioning coach, and what he brings to the program and why he loves the decision made by Marcus Freeman. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty
Oh, we did a good job executing. Are you upset with something?
and fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty history? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, Petty Story today brought to you by Nora Whiskey and NoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey at NoraWhiskey.com. I don't know if this is petty, but I love what Ja Morant did last night. Welcome back, my man.
That's
Ja
right.
Morant. Ja Morant, a.k.a. Ja Wick, who is no longer excommunicado.
Right, he back in the saddle, man. They even gave him the game-winning shot.
Back in the saddle. Have no clue what Willie Green was doing, letting that man defend Ja Morant one-on-one with a clear floor at the end of the game. You have to be out of your mind, bro. He's like he said when he hit the bucket. I'm that.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
what he said. Yeah, I'm that dude. 27 in the second half, game winner, and he said he has receipts left. Now that's the petty thing to me. Like you come off of that, for me, I just feel like, young man, leave that whole receipt stuff alone.
Yeah,
man.
because who are you saying it to?
Yeah, I know. Left, look, it was some cats in the media that went a little extra.
Yeah, that's just
They went a
job
little
of
extra.
people happy to jump on you. You know what I mean?
Oh man, they probably would be happy to jump on you, but no, I think he needs to learn, like, yo, relax, and yeah, there were some people in the media that went overboard, got personal when it didn't have to get personal. So when he says he kept receipts, I pretty much figure that's really who he's talking about, right? And
That's right.
it is what it is. That's like if I'll tell on myself, left. That's like if JD Bertrand in the Sun Bowl had like 15 tackles, an interception, and a fumble return for a touchdown, and was like, "Yo, I kept receipts." Even if he mentioned me by name, I would be like, "Yeah, that's what's up," because
Yeah, for sure.
I've been extra critical
That's right.
of you at times. So if
That's right.
that's the receipt you kept and it helped you to play that well, by all means, show the receipt, baby.
That's right.
Show the receipt. And get the return. I'm all for it. Lucky Lefty Podcast, 11 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be back. Cam McDaniels breaking it down. New strength and conditioning coach Lauren Landau. Why he's a home run hire for Notre Dame, according to Cam McDaniels. For myself and Left, continue to have a great season. If you're traveling, be safe. And don't forget to spin it different.